Hey guys, it's Celestia, and today's video is here to hopefully keep things light and bring some laughs while I work on scripting some more serious topics. And it's one that I've seen many people do and always wanted to make my own. That's right kids, we're looking at r/DelusionalArtists. Now, before we get into the gold mine of quality content housed there, I just want to make a couple things clear. r/DelusionalArtists is a subreddit dedicated to effectively mocking art that is either bad or ridiculously overpriced. And a large portion of it can be exceptionally toxic and unnecessarily, unproductively cruel. A lot of people use it to insult beginner artists, both minors and adults alike, and even more use it to shame artists for charging anywhere close to minimum wage for their work if the almighty Redditors deem it unworthy of that price. Yes, a lot of the art on the subreddit is bad, and yes, I think a lot of it is objectively overpriced based on the quality and skill level that it shows. But the nature of the community is effectively designed to shame and mock the artists responsible and use them as the butt of a cruel joke. And while some people are just having a lighthearted laugh at someone selling some very amateurish art for $6 grand, others are being deliberately petty and spiteful. It's full of people posting average art with the artist's name and social media completely uncensored and insulting them relentlessly, and I don't stand by that. I've spent a while going through it to find entries that are either lighthearted and well-intentioned, or entries that are just so absolutely absurd that they're beyond defense. And in fairness, there are a lot of those. I just wouldn't recommend sifting through the cesspool yourself if you don't want to get pissed off at the cruelty and ignorance of random internet strangers in the process. That in mind, while I will be showing you some of my favorite entries from r/DelusionalArtists today, I will be very specifically not insulting any of the art nor the artists, and I will be censoring their names and information. The point of this video isn't to shit on art that Reddit thinks is bad, it's to laugh at ridiculous things and have a harmless good time. To give you an example of the stuff we won't be roasting but is very plentiful on r/DelusionalArtists before we get started, let's take a look at this one. This is a prime example of the pointless toxicity of the subreddit, because this is literally just an artist commission sheet on which they're charging a reasonable fucking price for their work. If you think $80 is too much for a full-body sketch, you're a huge part of the reason that artists everywhere feel obligated to severely undercharge for their work. And quite honestly, fight me in the pit, I'll be waiting. Artists deserve minimum wage, at least, and you have no idea how long a full-body sketch takes them. $80 might not even be minimum wage based on that time. And shit, man, their art isn't even bad. It's really, really cute. It's fine to see this commission sheet and think, okay, I wouldn't pay that much for that, so I'm not going to commission this artist, and keep scrolling. But there's absolutely no reason or justification for you to post reasonably priced, good art on a subreddit created to shame delusional artists for ridiculous prices. And doing so anyway is just making things worse for artists trying to charge fairly for their work. Stuff like this just shouldn't be on r/DelusionalArtists, and fortunately looking at the comments, a lot of people actually agree. Others, however, are happy to join the poster in shaming this artist, and we don't fucking do that in this house. So let's move on from those assholes and get started on the things that have earned their place on the subreddit, or at least on this video. Alright, we're starting strong with, as one eloquent Redditor puts it, doobage bear with a rectal thermometer. And first of all, I love it. I love everything about this image, and it's been living rent-free in my head since I saw it like a month ago. Like, look at his eyes. This bear has seen some shit, and it's keeping him up at night almost as much as his dead-eyed stare is keeping me up at night. I understand why he's smoking, honestly. Also, just looking at him now, I'm noticing that the red on him is actually a strap for the sword on his back, and I'm honestly disappointed because my lizard brain somehow interpreted that splash of color from a distance as him wearing a Hawaiian shirt, and I'm pretty disappointed that he's not, to be honest. Going back to the sword though, I really appreciate that it doesn't actually line up on the other end, assuming this bottom bit here is the other end, because I feel represented. I once drew Inuyasha unsheathing his sword while the other side behind him was already unsheathed, and while this isn't that bad, I still feel some strong sword idiot solidarity here. I am also particularly fond of his claw fingers. Moving on from the bear himself, I think it's also important to acknowledge this rose that is growing straight out of the water, and this fish that is just sitting flat on top of the water. Both are very important to me. Overall, I think the comment, "its smug aura mocks me," pretty much sums up how I feel about this one. And I, for one, am glad that I live in a world where it was selling for $2,000 at an art gallery. Okay, now this next one is actually genius. This isn't delusional, this isn't bad, this is some next level quality content. This artist is straight up painting the backs of roaches and oh my god, they're even painting the legs to match the color scheme. The attention to detail is just, chef's kiss. And their art is genuinely really good. These have to take forever, and the artist is selling them for $5 each? I strongly agree with the comments on this one that are saying the only delusional thing about this is how much they're undercharging, because damn, these are awesome. My only concern is that they're killing the roaches in order to paint them, which I'm not on board with. But if they're just finding dead roaches and turning them into cool-ass art, I agree with Master Roshi. I'd frame it and sell that shit for $50 easy. Honestly, 10 out of 10. Awesome art, terrifying medium, but worth way, way more. I don't have words for this one. I don't know if words exist for this one. All I can say is that €1,000 is a steal for this kind of masterpiece. This next one it's bold. It's a bold move. Looking at this just makes me think of that one post that's just like, from now on, I'm gonna refer to all of my mistakes as artistic choices. But instead of that, it's, from now on, I'm going to sell all of my mistakes as $39 artistic choices, generously discounted from $46. Honestly, it would be different if this was actually just their attempt at making a plush from scratch, but this is literally just an actual Freddy plush turned inside out, sewn back up, and then marketed and resold as Ignited Freddy. Like, here's Ignited Freddy, and here's the plush. Freddy, plush. I don't think I need to say more. Okay, yes, Cheetos Cup. This is one of my favorites, and I am physically overflowing with thoughts about Cheetos Cup because I love it. I love everything about this. Cheetos Cup is not only something that could genuinely go in an art gallery if a banana duct taped to a gallery wall has a right to be there and be priced at $120,000, but it has such a vibe. You know those old Tumblr posts about the Florida Gothic aesthetic? Like, all the tourists are the same person. The same sunburned elderly man with socks and sandals, repeated 1,000,000 times. He tells you his name, but you can't remember it. Cheetos Cup has strong Florida Gothic vibes. Like, at first glance, it's just like, oh, yeah, that's a cup with a bag of Cheetos in it. But the more you look at it, the more surreal and almost tragic and melancholy it feels, and you find yourself wondering, how did this happen? You assume that they simply finished their Cheetos and they finished their drinks, so they combined them and left them behind instead of throwing them out, cause littering. But look at that bright green silly straw. That's not the kind of straw that just came with their drink. That is their straw. They brought that from home to a ping pong table, apparently. It makes you wonder, was this really just some leftover garbage, or was it appearing as such just a part of the artist's complex vision? What inspired this? How did this concept occur to them? How did that price occur to them? I just have so many questions about Cheetos Cup. It's living rent-free in my head right next to Doobage Bear, honestly, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Someone commented, for $100, he could at least have put some effort into it, and that's genuinely so offensive because look at the silly straw. Just because the subtleties of the artist's detail elude your tragically limited artistic understanding does not mean that their work lacks effort, you fucking fool. This commenter, by contrast, clearly understands the artist's vision because nothing can sum Cheetos Cup up better than $100 or best offer, don't try to lowball me, I know what I got. Oh man, okay, this one is another gem, and it's one of my favorites as well because it's so much more than it looks like it is at first glance. And I mean, what it looks like at first glance is already gold. The fact that it's priced at $69 is just the cherry on top of this because not only is that a bargain, it's also just objectively integral to communicating the message of the piece. I would unironically buy this and hang it in my living room, and that's just based on the front alone. But the fact that the back of the canvas also has Hail Satan 666 and what appears to be a legitimate detailed list of self-care instructions makes the whole piece even more valuable. I wish I could see a better quality photo of it just to read the actual instructions, but I can understand why only the buyer should have the right to read them. I feel like whatever self-care routine is contained by something this iconic could change my life all on its own, and the more I talk about it, the more I unironically consider trying to track this down and buy it, actually. Moving on, and definitely not saving that to look into later, here we have something very different than the last one, but no less iconic. A museum says they gave an artist $84,000 in cash to use in artwork. He delivered blank canvases and titled them, "Take the Money and Run." And okay, I don't know if this is real, but honestly, if it is, this isn't delusional, it's genius. If this is a true story, the artist is a fucking legend and deserves nothing but respect and admiration. I wish I had energy that smug and chaotic. Now, I wouldn't include this next one if it weren't for the description, because as I said, the point of this video isn't to insult art. And true to that, I'm not going to. What made me adamantly and aggressively feel the need to talk about this piece is that it's called Face of Shock. and is described only as, "This one-of-a-kind art piece is a beautiful representation of happiness and sadness together." And I had to show it to you, because if this isn't me, I don't know what is. When people ask how I am, I'm just gonna start sending them this picture, because I identify with it so deeply and viscerally that words cannot adequately express it. This is another one that's particularly good because of the title, which is "Self-painted acrylic on canvas signed by me." First of all, the implication that this would have otherwise been assumed to be a print or reproduction if they hadn't said self-painted is a degree of boldness and confidence that I can only hope to someday achieve. But signed by me really drives that vibe home. There are also some intricacies that I'd like to bring your attention to, like all of these symbols clearly have meaning to the artist, but then what is the black circle? What does it mean? What does it represent? Why does it say 999? Is it upside down Satanism, or are they a big Zero Escape fan? Finally, the top corner has what looks to be a cut-off portrait, and the fact that it's cut off and I am being genuinely deprived of my basic human right to bask in its glory is upsetting me. I'm upset. Okay, when I first saw this next one, my first thought was just, what the fuck? That's adorable. Why is that on here? I unironically would buy that. And then I saw the price. Like, based on art alone, I never would have included it in this video. Nor would I have thought it deserved to be on r/DelusionalArtists. But $600 for a notebook? Like, Jesus, $600 for any notebook is just absolutely fucking wild. No matter how good the art on the cover is. That said, I can appreciate that they didn't go straight to $600. They knew that would be unreasonable. That's too far. The bold, generous choice to offer it to us at only $5.99 is admirable and appreciated. Now it's affordable. Oh god, we're at the hot dogs. Oh. The hot dogs have actually kept me up at night, and not just because they're horrifying, although they are horrifying, but because based on the description provided with the listing, the artist, if we can call them that, is not joking. This person genuinely believes that raw, cut-up hot dogs holding hands are not only art, but art worth $150. And they are so confident in this belief that they're not just selling one. They have a whole business model built around it. They have different prices for customizations, like the type of meat the hot dog is made of, or the personalized pose and characteristics of the hot dogs. They specifically give examples of options like mini hot dog babies, pregnant hot dog, rock star hot dog, etc. Okay, that alone I feel like is just such a jump. Like, mini hot dog babies, okay. Weird, but okay. Pregnant hot dog, that follows the theme, alright. Rockstar hot dog? Where did that come from? God, the longer I look at this listing, the more questions I have. Can raw meat even be considered a statue? Can cut-up hot dogs really be put into the category of condition used like new? What made an actual human being sit down and think not only, I should make two hot dog lovers holding hands, but I should make a business based on selling hot dog lovers holding hands? Is one of them wearing another slain hot dog as a hat, or is that supposed to be hair? Does that mean its hair is just made of skin? Why is the second hot dog missing pieces in the middle? Is it supposed to be a thinner waist because that's a lady hot dog? Oh no, oh god, I just noticed the faces. I need to stop looking at this. Okay. This one is a lot tamer by comparison, but in fairness, I feel like almost anything would be. First of all, this listing is a prime example of my belief that our definition of the word abstract when it comes to art has to have some kind of a limit. Like, there has to come a point where throwing paint on a canvas is just wasting paint and a canvas and not a genre of art. But it's so hard to define when that is, because a lot of abstract art is absolutely gorgeous, and it's gorgeous because it doesn't follow any rules. But while I'm sure most of us can agree that it's very hard, if not impossible, to define the point where it's not abstract art and it's just a mess, I'm sure most of us can also agree that wherever that point is, this piece has gone far, far past it, to the point that this was listed in my script as paint pile. And while I obviously do not believe that this is worth $50,000 based on artistic merit, I might believe that they did use $50,000 worth of paint. I also think it's worth mentioning that its condition is used normal wear, and I'm so unbelievably curious as to what that even means in this context. Now, this NFT is priced at over $1 million, but I genuinely believe that that price is unironically reasonable, and just hear me out. I'm 90% sure that this whole piece is just social commentary about the nature of NFTs. Like, it's titled, I am rich. It literally just says, I am fucking rich, and the description legitimately says, if you buy this, you are indeed fucking rich. Congrats, and fuck you. Like, this person is clearly just mocking NFTs and the people that buy them, and that makes it easily the most self-aware and accurate NFT I have ever seen. This isn't delusional, it's just the best possible version of what it is. And while I don't support anyone minting any NFTs at all, I do respect that the artist paid whatever the cost of minting one actually is just to make this point. Okay, now this one I'm just overwhelmingly in love with. More than I love the art itself, I love the title, because painting of an old friend on unicorn is just so perfect. I feel like if I die someday without having a friend paint me on a unicorn, not by my request, but as a way to fondly remember me or commemorate our friendship, I will have failed. In that way, this old friend has achieved the greatest victory of them all. And honestly, just look at his vibes. They're so strong. I genuinely envy his power. Look at his subtle, self-satisfied smirk. There's something so impressive to me about a dude just casually, shirtlessly enjoying a beer while riding a literal unicorn. Because it's like, he doesn't care that he's on an actual physical mythical creature. He's just having a good time. The fact that a unicorn happens to be there is irrelevant to his good time. And it's that level of self-assured apathy that truly inspires me. I don't honestly think this belongs on r/DelusionalArtists either, and I mean that in all seriousness. They're only charging 25 bucks. And while that is probably a lot for a portrait of a stranger's old friend on a unicorn, I don't think it's crazy enough to warrant its posting here. Alright, this next one, the Danny DeVito inspired artwork. I'm fairly positive that this one is actually a joke, because while this is obviously a masterpiece, I cannot truly imagine unironically charging $1 million for any piece of art on what looks like Facebook Marketplace. The fact that the description is valuable art, first edition painting, 1 out of 1 in collection, does very little to dispel that suspicion either, nor does the fact that the signature is half the size of the actual art itself. All of that said, if you can look me in the eye and tell me that this isn't worth every cent of the money, 100%, you're wrong. I don't know what else to say. Someone needs to buy this and give the artist the glory they deserve. Okay, finally, our last piece for the video is one that I'm happy to end strong with as a big Team Rocket fan. Because let's be honest, any member of Team Rocket would be honored to own this beautiful piece of art. Imagine Giovanni in all his brooding, intimidating, elegant glory, with this beauty proudly displayed behind his desk. And tell me that that mental image doesn't give you serotonin. That said, given that the artist's name is Rowan, I'm gonna hazard the wildest of guesses and say that rather than honoring the second best villain team in Pokemon, the artist is literally just selling art of the first letter of his name for $365.76, simply because it being the first letter of his name gives it that much value, and I really respect that confidence. Alright, that brings us, finally, to the end of this episode of r/DelusionalArtists. I honestly had so much fun making this, because if you manage to go through enough of this subreddit, you can find so much funny shit that's funny not exclusively by way of being bad, but usually because of how incomparably, unbelievably bold it is. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and please let me know in the comments if you'd like a sequel to it in the future, because I definitely wouldn't be against making this into a series if it's something you enjoy. Thank you for watching, and special thank you as always to channel members Cafe Soleil, Lotus Dreams Art, Joseph Solomon, Adele Juarez, and Fiona Paulo for their support. I hope you had as much fun with this as I did, and I'll see you in my next video.